we started by asking you for what were the moments of exhilaration in your work. And this is a picture full of great little stories or big stories of the joy of investigation and discovery. And then we went to we had another whole page of exhilaration, which was the joy of, okay, keep going. We went through the world of dread and the world of delight, the things we delighted by, the opportunities we see today, and the threats we see today. And then we went to our dream for our children's children. We just asked you to dream, and this is an extraordinary picture. Martin Luther King or Amanda Gorman would be really proud of this picture, a very complete dream. Next one, we went to the frustrations with the plant health world, and you can see that sort of spiky picture there. A lot of short-sightedness. Then we had our delight, enthusiasms, what we love about the plant health community. Collaboration is huge there, curiosity and passion, holistic enthusiasm. And once again, we asked you for your dream for what happens in the plant health community. That's the next slide. And once we had that, so we had the idea of what we love and what we don't love about the plant health community and what we love and don't love about the world, we're holding on to our dreams. And then we went further, we sent all those pictures out to you all, and you identified what you felt to be the grand challenges facing the world and the plant health community, spreading the science, involving the world, influencing political and economic forces, transforming our relationship to the whole biosphere. Next picture, we identified the grand opportunities. These are amazing times. Things have happened in this last year that no one ever thought was possible. And you identified these grand opportunities that we can work with in order to be part of a transformation. And the next slide. You identified the positive signs, mostly within the plant health world. You look around at your colleagues, there's collaborative eagerness and collective expertise. There's passionate engagement, and we have just been overwhelmed by that, all of your contributions to these pictures and to this summit. Next picture, we asked you for what you thought would be the next steps. And taking all of this, we sent that back out to you again and asked you to identify what passions you were coming to this summit with. So the next slide should be our grand passions. And what we identified from your replies were there were 20 passion projects in 5 strategic areas. And this is how we basically designed the conference, reflecting this, all of these passions. So you'll recognize on the day one, we looked at creative collaboration and creating engagement, creating influence, and creating care. And down at the bottom in the green section, there were a lot of science and technology projects that you thought would be great to get multidisciplinary teams together, and the idea of maybe having a dating site where you can sign up with your offerings or your interest in working on any of those things, and also indicate where you have needs for people to work with. And the next one. And here we are in the summit. So this was day one, discussion one, and this was all about the art of collaborative networking. Have a goal, communication, contribution, have trust, and in the center, curiosity. Next slide. The interdisciplinary collaboration projects. These were your ideas for specific areas for where projects could be created. And what we're saying is over this summit, we've been really listening for the different projects that you have identified as the areas where you believe work needs to be done. And there will be the opportunity always for you to say, I want to work on that project. So we'll be creating another chart at the end of this with all of the projects that you've identified worth working on. And the next slide. This, we did a session on the art of influence, and you reflected on things that worked for you when people were trying to influence you, and came up with this simple but very wise diagram of the art of influence, including what I liked the best was don't try to influence people, relate to them, build relationships, initiate the relationships, hold your big long-term mountaintop vision, and find the people who respond. They are there. Next slide. Next slide. This is what we did yesterday. So we had the first session yesterday was about creating workplace vitality. And obviously, triggered by who you are, I was thinking, you're really creating, in the workplace vitality, a biosphere that supports healthy growth. And these are your ideas here. Down on the left-hand side are a couple of gray things. There's still a taboo about discussing personal things that might impact your work life. And long, inflexible hours are bad for mental health. But in your dream, in the yellow, COVID has really exposed a new way of thinking about life and work, and our flexible ways of working. There's just an extraordinary opportunity. At the center of this, and at the center of all of these pictures, is the sense that what we're getting from you is a willingness to be radically involved, because only this is going to make the difference here. Being radical and willing to change the norms. It always takes people who have a dream and then say, I'm going to be the change that I want to see. These are the ones that actually shape our working environments and shape our society. Sometimes it's very lonely, but I think what we have seen here is there is a tremendous community of people all rooting for the same things. Rooting is a good word, isn't it? So practice the skills of openness, trusting, listening, the tenacity for long-term initiatives. And one of your thoughts was, I want open and sensible feedback on my work from supervisors and co-workers. And in the spirit of being radical and willing to change the norm, really the art is for you figuring out how you get that open and sensible feedback on your work from your supervisors and co-workers. There's a tremendous amount of agency in your words. And next slide. Yesterday, we also had the idea of creating equity, diversity, justice, and inclusion. It's a tremendous opportunity these days for things to happen here. And what I find interesting about this one is that we have in the purple on the right, the idea of real ownership, real purpose, real follow-up, knowing why. We don't want on the gray side it just to be something that looks good on your website, just a tick box exercise, a numbers game. You are really keen for this to be very real and fundamental. And one of the things, again, on the left-hand side, it was Morgan who contributed this. It can be intimidating to join spaces that you expect to be dominated by one kind of person. And that really resonated with me, because I think we've all experienced the idea of going to a situation where we know that we're going to be in a very small minority, and how off-putting that is. And I think that's that simple recollection of what it means in our lives is what is driving your passion to create equity and diversity and the justice of including everyone. In the center of this, I think, is this simple truth that this is not about well, let me say what it is about. It's about openness, curiosity, empathy, respect, and understanding. That's what's at the heart of creating equity, diversity, justice, and inclusion. And once again, in the middle there is strength to be the change, with a dream for a guide. Trust your colleagues that they're with you and they want it too. Speak out with that confidence, the strength to be the change. So that was the first work session yesterday. And the next slide. In the afternoon, we were exploring the art of campaigning and education, changing the world's relationship to the biosphere. And in the yellow sections, we've got clear, simple intent, entrust, encourage, and enjoy your audience. This is the key. Welcome silly questions and trust your audience. Down in the gray side, on the left hand lower edge, it says how to fail. Treat people like complete idiots. That will probably mean you're going to fail. Patronize them, exaggerate things, sensationalize, use jargon and stunts. We don't need to do that. We all know that those are the things which put us off. Those are the things that make us suspicious. Why are you trying so hard to attract my attention? Don't you trust that I believe in these things? So I think that what you have got here again is another wisdom built on your own experience, that it is simple trust, that everybody fundamentally knows that plant health is connected to everything. All of the blue things are projects or elements of projects. Like obviously you're going to need to be present at events and festivals, contact influencers, get the celebrities on board. There was a lot of fun about having the horror film of a world without coffee because of some terrible disease, looking at horrible history of plants. But there's a little bit of a warning in here. Although those things are tremendous fun, you have to be careful that you're not slipping down into the stunts, is what that the art of campaigning in a noisy world which is full of campaigning is simply trust your audience and trust that they are ready to listen to your enthusiasm. So it's an amazing amount of work that has got us to this point. Jenny, do you have something to say?
I just wanted to say that one of the overriding themes that has been coming out is the connection, and you probably know this anyway, but I just wanted to emphasize it a little, between the personal and the universal. And that things that we think are universal and truths or experiences are often also personal. And the opposite is also true. So things that you experience personally will be universal. And when you keep that in mind, your creativity has great impact because you will connect with people with their experience too, if you trust that moment.